Welcome to the Ink and Alchemy podcast, where passion meets the pen.
Whispers turn to rivers when you write.
Welcome back, everyone. So today we are going to get into the actual meat and potatoes of writing. We're going to actually start working on our book, start writing our book, start organizing it, and do a little pre-planning. If you watched the video from last week actually it was like Sunday, I think I posted it. We talked about throwing up on paper. So throwing up on paper was just to get the creative juices flowing, get your thoughts out there, kind of see where you are in writing and what it is that you're really passionate about writing about. um, the assignment was to write your POV of the opening of Cinderella. So if you were the author of Cinderella, how would you start that book? How would you write it? You can see, if you go back to that video, you can see in the description what I wrote. So my thing is, I always tell people everybody can write Cinderella. Everybody's version is going to be different, right? And that's to also show you that you don't ever think that what you want to write about is been told a million times. If you want to write about vampires and werewolves, do it. If you want to write about zombie romance, do it. Whatever it is, there is something for everyone. And just to tell you how crazy that is, there is actually, and it was another author friend that showed this to me, that there is a genre on Amazon for people who like dinosaur romance. I kid you not. It's some whatever. Hey, it's selling, okay? There are people buying it. There's a reader for everything. So there's always going to be somebody who's interested in what you write. And now the trick is finding them, but you can find them. You will find them. So, that's what last week was about, throwing up on paper, getting that story out there. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it. If not, this is just a recap. I asked everybody, they want to, they don't have to post their story, but if they wanted to, they can post their opening of Cinderella. And if they want me to use it in a future video, then just let me know and I'll be happy to. So anyway, that's what we did last week. Just to recap. So this week, after you've thrown up on paper and you kind of got an idea, you got in the writing bug. Hopefully you got bit by the writing bug, and now you are ready to move on to the next step. Now we're going to look at what is it that we want to write? What's our genre? What are we looking for? And now I'm looking at the perspective of, I've remember I told you I started off, I made all the mistakes you can possibly make. And if I haven't made a mistake, it's because I just didn't know about it. So and I'm doing this so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. You can make new mistakes and then we can learn from each other. Isn't that beautiful? So the whole thing is, what I learned is when I wrote, I literally just sat down and I just started writing. I just went at it. I didn't know. I know that it was a romance, but I didn't know like what subgenre that would be or how to categorize it or anything. I didn't know how, like, what are the requirements for chapters? Like, how thick should a chapter be? How small should a chapter be? I didn't know how big the book should be. I just wrote. Now, my first book was over 100,000 words. So that turned out to be about a 400 page, it's over 400 pages book, depending on how you format it. It really depends on you, because you can take 100,000 word book and easily shrink it down into, I don't know, 300 page book or something. It really depends, or 200 if you really want to go crazy with the fonts. In my books, I don't go crazy with fonts. I'm going to show you some of my recent publications. And so this is not my most recent published, but um, close to it. I have, after this book, there's Serena, and then there's a Lightning Bird that I have recently published. But this is this is part one. This is a two-part to this book. There might be three. But this book, The Chemistry of Love, I there's a whole story behind this, but basically I tend to, for me, I think about people's eyes and their vision because I have, well, at the time, right, I didn't, so I'm diabetic. So there's days when my eyes, I can see into next week. And then there's days when I can't see my hand in front of my face. It depends on what's going on inside with my blood sugar levels, right? So there's sometimes when I'm in class, I can't even see the board and I'm sitting in the front row. So that's what I deal with. So I always think like, you know, your eyes are so important. And even in the Bible, not to make this religious or anything, Jesus talks about the keeping your eyes are like the window, your eyes are like the light, right? So my eye health is important to me, so that's a part of my thing. With my readers, I don't want my readers to have vision problems reading my book. I want it to be comfortable for them so that they can enjoy the story and not get distracted with, oh, my eyes are so tired, or you know, they have vision problems or whatever. So there's a lot of things that I do in my books to make it comfortable for my readers to enjoy this book. So I put a lot of images in there. That's more for a mental thing. Okay. I have to admit, I write more books than I read. It sounds really bad, but the reason why that is because I personally don't find books that I like to read as often. Now there are a lot of good books out there, but sometimes it takes me the type of things that I would like to read, that, like they say, you write what you want to read, and that's what I've been doing. So other than that, I tend to read more nonfiction than I do fiction, which is crazy because I write fiction. I don't really write nonfiction too much, but I do like to use a lot of pictures, a lot of images. So here are the two main characters. Title page. This is the your copyright page. You can start everything on this side. I also like to kind of, I should put this, I'm cross between saving paper and then making it entertaining. So anytime that I can save a sheet of paper, I'm going to do it. So instead of having this side blank and starting my table of contents on this side, I just started here because it's not that important to me. You gotta pick your battles, right? Then you have your dedication page, just a continuation of my table of contents. And then, so people are like, oh, why, if you don't put pictures, you can save more paper. Yeah, but isn't he cute? Like, why would I want to do that? So cute. Anyway, my acknowledgments. And then, so there is this blank page that I couldn't do anything about it. I probably could have. Let me see. What was on the other side? Yeah, no, because of how I wanted it to lay out, it would be weird. So I had to do it this way because I wanted people to see it this way. So again, picking your battles. Sorry about that. So prologue, and I created a theme for this whole book. So the theme for this book was chemistry. And everything, so I tried to use like chemistry, a little bit of biology in there. We see like with this, the cells, but I made this to look like this is her notes as a scientist. So she's a chemist and she's, she does her notes and all this stuff, and she's studying on something that has to do, it touches on biology and chemistry. So she's writing down her notes and thinking about her experiment, but then she's also like little pictures of her man on there, and just life, saying you try to focus on work, but so again, I did like 4 different versions of this, but it didn't always come out that way. So, and then each page, each chapter, I titled it after, let's see the focus, the symbol, right? So this one, the chapter 1 is hydrogen. If you're not into chemistry, this is going to seem very geeky to you. But it's just a fun thing. Now, if you look closely here, there's a QR code. When the reader uses their phone to click on that, it will read to them this whole entire chapter. And I do that for people who, hey, like for me, okay, you know what? Monday, my eyes are working great, and I feel like I'm in a nice, comfortable place. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to read. And then Tuesday, I want to read the book because now I'm all into the story, but my eyes are hurting. I had to do a lot on the computer today, and I just want to listen to the story and relax. Well, I can hit that QR code and listen to it. So those are things that I think about for people who are busy, people who are doing, like, you can click that QR code and you can listen to it on your way to wherever you're going. It just gives them another type of option for whatever may be going on. They might even be, there's times when there's nothing wrong with your vision. You just that you're so mentally stressed and distracted, you can't sit down and calm yourself down enough to like read a book. But the funny thing, the healing thing about storytelling is just like it kind of relaxes you. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I love it. It's I could do it and do other things, and it's relaxing, especially like cleaning or cooking or whatever else I'm doing, making crafts. So that's what we're going to be talking about. How do you want your book to look? What's your vision? And what is going to be your genre? What is going to be your book size? And all of that. So this book has, let's see, a little over 200 pages, right? And if you see like the font, I use a larger font. I use the maximum size font I use is 12 point. And depending on the type of font you use, and I'm picky about the type of font you use also. There's a certain type of font that people like, it's just aesthetic to their eyes. So it makes it more comfortable for them. So all these little things you do kind of want to think of, it will help set your book apart. Okay. So that is what we're going to start getting into the next session about: the planning and organizing and the pre-thought put into the aesthetics of your book. So your book genre. So when you, for me, it's always romance. That's like the broad genre is romance. Romance is probably one of the biggest genres they have. I Then there's mystery, there's thrillers, horror, fantasy. Fantasy is another really big one, and science fiction is another big one. And so that you pretty much, you'll know that off the bat which one that you're going into. And then as you complete your story, by the time you finish your story, you will have a better idea of exactly what type of romance or what type of fantasy, whatever genre you picked. So for example, all my books are romance. This I would consider more like a science fiction romance, because it has a lot of like the scientific, there's time travel and all this, science, sci-fi stuff in there. So that it's romance, but I would consider it science fiction romance, right? And then my next book, Toxic, I have quite a few books. I've been writing since 2009. So these are just my most recent ones. But this one is more like, it's romance. It has a little comedy in there. It's thriller. It's a little bit of horror. And in the beginning, it may seem a little creepy the way that the book starts out in the beginning. Let me see, did I put a picture? Let's see if no, I did not. Okay. So in the beginning, it does come off as kind of creepy, but it's just a prologue. If you read the prologue, some people don't read the prologue, but if you read the prologue, you'll be like, oh, seems like it's going to be scary. And it's really not. That's deceptive, because it's not scary. It was just a beginning part. So this book has elements of like supernatural. Um, there's like spiritual warfare. There's all kinds of it's all kinds of stuff that goes in here. So that leads me to the conversation of multi-genre books. If you're like me and you enjoy stories that like kind of keep you on your toes, like you're always like, oh, what's going to happen next, because you don't know where this writer is going with this, then welcome, you're in the right place. So in my first book, Endurance, I don't have a copy of it on me right now, but in my first book, Endurance, I knew nothing about writing. I knew nothing about writing, as in, I knew you put quotations around when people are talking and you say he said, she said. Um, but I didn't know, like, okay, well, I'm writing romance, so it should be, I just wrote what came out. I just went with the flow, which is how you should do it. It just helps, like, in retrospect, it helps to know what your genre is and what people in that people that read that genre like, because it helps the algorithms place your book better. That's what I didn't know. So I put my book Endurance, and most of my books are in romance, but then the subcategories are going to be different. I've tried supernatural slash occult. I've tried I was told to put it in Christian fiction before. Um, I have I, I've tried all different types of genres, trying to find it's right, the right genre for it. But overall, I can't remember what the last genre that I've settled on finally. But I've also even tried visionary fiction. But it's like a supernatural romance. You have this girl who falls in love with this kid. They're in high school, and he comes from a family that has supernatural powers, and through that she learns that she has supernatural powers too. And by being around him and his family, it awakens it in her, right? And they ended up protecting her and taking her in as one of their own. So there's this whole supernatural element, but that's just not the whole. There's a lot of stuff that happens between all that in that story that kind of goes into different genres. But I love that, because to me it just makes the whole story interesting. And then how I look at it is like life. We don't live where everybody's just, I am a horror movie. I'm a walking horror movie all day long. Like nothing else happens other than horror in my life, which is, I think, would be kind of horrible. But or some people might like that. I don't know. But different things happen. Today you may be dealing with the horror, and tomorrow you may be falling in love for the first time. Different things happen, right? So I feel like our books should replicate that. Our stories should replicate that. It's supposed to replicate life, even though it's fiction, but it should replicate life. It should be relatable for people. So that's the other thing to look at. But even when you do a multi-genre book, you still have to pick a genre. You have Amazon gives you 3 categories that you could put your books into. I think, and Barnes and Noble, they give you a lot more. And then you have like Drafted Digital that gives you, I think they give you a little bit more also too. I'm not sure. But all those come later when we get into the publishing part of the book. But not right now. Is just right now what you just want to understand is what is the main genre of your book. So it's romance. Like, for example, my book that I'm working on now, Serena, it's a romantic thriller. So I was writing these really short books about this size or smaller for that romance and for that genre, romantic thriller. And I learned after the second book that people who read that genre don't like short little teasers. They actually like the slow burn, is what they call it. they actually like to take their time. So they want like a 400-page book. So my third book in a series is now going to be 400 pages. Now, the thing is with series, now we're going to go into our book sizes. So, sorry. This, if you can see the difference here, this book here, Toxic, is a 6x9. That's a 6x9. This is a 5x8. So, just show you the difference. So, is it important? Does it matter? These are the industry standards. Mainly, this one is the industry standard, 6x9. That's the size that people tend to, that's just like the common size you're going to see everywhere, 6x9. And then there's this 5x8. I like both sizes. These are the two sizes that I publish in for all my fiction books. If you're doing something like a workbook or a journal, then you could do like an 8x10, or you could play around it. Or if you're doing like a children's book, I have a poetry book that's, I think it was like a 7x10. It's a rectangle shape, and but it depends on what you're publishing, right? But for like workbooks, journals, you want to do like 8x10 or something like that. It's like a sheet of paper. For nonfiction books that are, like you're telling, how to make $1 million in a week, then you want to use either one of these sizes. They're normally 6x9s, but you can use either one of these sizes. So it's really up to you. And you may say, like, the type of reader, this reader likes to carry their books with them. So maybe you want to make it a little bit smaller for them to fit in their purse, or to just to be a little bit easier to travel with. So that's why I was looking at like this size, is because this book I try to keep it like just fun, action packed reads that they can read when they're traveling or whatever. And I felt like this size is easy to travel with, but it's really not that big of a difference from this size. So little things, just little things, and that goes into understanding your audience. So when you're writing your book, you may not know who you're. I didn't have anybody in mind for who I'm writing to or what I'm writing about, but look into marketing. In marketing, they create like a character profile or customer profile, and they literally sit down and you just take the time one day to sit down and think about who would be interested in reading your book. You are your reader. So, using myself an example, this is one person I can use an example. I like books that have the supernatural elements in it, a little thrill, a little, and it has to have romance. It has to keep my attention. It has to have romance, right? I like to watch K-dramas. I'm a huge K-drama fan. I'm watching about 2 K-dramas right now. So they're in 2 different series. And it's just something that I love doing. And the reason why I love K-dramas is because cinematography, I love how they do their movies. But then this, talking about the story, the way that they do their storytelling, I really, really enjoy. They have these stories that are wholesome, yet not like passionate, and like it's like and they really dive deep into like the human character, the good people and the bad people. When they got their villains, oh my gosh, I want to reach my hand through that screen and just choke that that character, because they're just so damn evil. And it's like just the things that they do and they get away with. You're like, oh my gosh, it's fun. So I'm gonna write down my character is gonna be her name. I'm just gonna give her name. Her name's Simone, right? Um, Simone she's in college, or she graduated from college. However you want to put it. She's college educated or not. She's an avid reader, and she loves K dramas. She enjoys For her hobbies, maybe she likes to draw. Maybe she does crafts with her hands, like whatever, making jewelry, things like that. Um, Maybe she's into natural skincare products. Like, it's silly to think of like, okay, well, April, what does it have to do with her being in natural skincare products, have to do with the book or whatever? Because that's how you're going to find her. So now, for example, you're going to now push your book and advertise it. For example, maybe you're going to do paid ads uh, after healthcare, skincare, a natural skincare product. You know what I'm saying? Like, it helps you in the end with your marketing. So now you know where to position your book with marketing. I know that, Simone likes to do these things, so I'm going to advertise in these things. Maybe Simone likes to go to, she's a K-drama fan, right? So maybe she likes to go to Asian festivals. I'm going to position my book to market around Asian festivals. Maybe Simone is really good on keeping her hair done and she wants her hair and nails done. I'm going to go put samples of my book, like free samples of my book, which, let me tell you, in my experience, have always gotten stolen, but I don't care. That's the whole point. You want them to be stolen. But you can take like I would take like this whole book to a beauty salon, and let them write store copy on there. It doesn't matter, they're gonna steal it anyway, and put it there for the guests who are waiting to get their hair done. It's a good way to get word of mouth going for your book. So I feel like that might be a little bit difficult with, well, nail salons was for for people who are waiting, but I don't know if people wait that long. I don't know. I'm not into getting my nails done, but but let's just say if Simone was, or the character you created was, then those are the places and the businesses that you're gonna think when you're thinking outside the box, how to push my book. That's where you're gonna put it, right? So that you can hopefully sell some more books. So the book size, your genre, and your audience. Just think about those things and how would you market to that person, and how would they want your book? Would they like your book so that they can just throw it in their purse? Would they like the fact that they have the option to have audio in their book? And do they mind AI voices? That's the other thing, because I use audio for but these are AI voices. Now, I also have a podcast that it uses their human dub voices. Actually, the voices I'm using now, they're human dub voices too in these books. But to me, they sound AI. I'm not gonna lie, they sound AI. But if you're like me, like, hey, I don't care as long as I could get to enjoy my story and not have my eyes tearing up because it can't, the pressure and my eyes are exhausted, then I don't mind listening to an AI voice. It doesn't bother me. So this will help you to know what your customer likes. The other customer might like a whole like audio session where it's like a cinema, for their ears, which I do like, and that's what I have on my podcast. But you also got to look at what's feasible and what you're able to do. So anyway, next, we are going to get into actually getting started writing. So we're going to jump on the computer. So hold on. Okay, guys. So when I'm getting ready to start a new book, I try to think of like what size I want it to be. This is stuff that I didn't know before. I should just jump on there and start writing. So for NaNoWriMo, the writing goal is 50,000 words. It sounds like a lot, but it's not that bad. For a novellas are like short, so it could be like 20,000 to 30,000 words. I guess like they say an average full length book now is 60 to 80,000 words. And then so the 50,000 is kind of like, I guess, like, I don't know, medium. I don't know what they consider the 50,000, but I know for NaNoWriMo, 50,000 words is the gold. So is a goal. So we're going to use that as our goal. And what I do is I take my calculator and I'll put in 50,000, and I divide that by 250. So why 250? The average uh, word count on a page of a book is about 250 words. Doesn't mean they all have, it's an average, right? So that tells me that's going to make, I don't know if you can see this good, it's going to make like a 200 word book. So you know that your book is going to be about 200 pages. Sorry, 200 word, 200 pages. If your book is going to be about 200 pages, then I would recommend a 5x8. The reason is you, if it's, where's my examples again? Okay, so this, remember I told you this is a little bit over 200 pages. If you want to, it's aesthetics really. When it's larger, that means you're gonna use less. You're gonna have more page room, right? So it's gonna be less pages. So the thickness is gonna be smaller. It kind of like, I don't know how to really word this. It's not like a respect thing, but it's just like, for the reader, it feels more like, oh, this is a decent sized book or whatever. It's better when it's smaller, when it's going to be like 200 pages or less, or around 200 pages. I would say anything under 300 pages. Now, where it can go to the complete other side, I have a book called Spirit. At first, it was one whole book, and it was almost 500 pages. Now, this was back when I did not know how to format as well as I do now. Back in the beginning, I was a horrible formatter because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So at first, when I first formatted that book, it was like 600 pages. That book was, I think it was over 200,000 words. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was 2 books. So the problem that I had with it is when I published it, I think I got it down to like 500 and something pages. Well, my cousin, God bless her, she was reading my book and she was like, I'm enjoying this book, but I lost a page because because it was so thick. One of the pages didn't get glued as well as it should have, and it slipped out. So that was, at the time, that was an issue with books that are that thick. Is you got to make sure the printing house that you go to has, I'm using Amazon, so, and Amazon's good. This one is from Amazon. I wish I had another one. Let me see. No, I don't have it on me. When you get into this, you're gonna see the difference in the different printing houses. So Barnes and Noble's printing is actually really, really nice. I actually, they're my favorite print house. I think the quality that Barnes and Noble produces is really nice. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So, but on average, this is Amazon, and Amazon is good. And this, the pages are thicker or whatever, but Barnes and Noble's nice. Barnes and Noble has some nice printing, and they give you more options. So that's important to you, or important to your reader, based off of your character profile. Something to consider. Maybe you publish on both, but maybe when you go to book signings and stuff, maybe you want to get that from Barnes and Noble instead of Amazon. Not that Amazon is horrible; it's not bad. I'm just saying I got kind of spoiled with it. It was nice. It cost a little bit more, but you see why. So anyway, um, but yeah. So for a book for NaNoWriMo, I would suggest a 5x8. And then like my other books that are like full length, like 60 to 80, I would do a 6x9. Now, why is this book? Well, this book is a little bit thicker. If it was in this size, it would be thicker too. Let me see, how many pages do we have here? This is almost 300. It's just under 300. Wait, hold on. My eyes be acting up on me. Oh no. This one has like 266 pages, 267 when you add in all the other stuff I got in the back, right? And this one came to 237 words. So, yeah. But yeah, this one also, this was a part of a group project, and this was the size that the people leading the group chose. So the book cover is not by me. I didn't do this book cover. And the the size and all that was, I believe, everybody has the same 6x9. I could be wrong. I don't know. So but normally that's how I do it. But just remember, the cool thing about being a self-published author is you make your own rules. You are your own boss. So you make the decision on how you want that to go. That's how it is for me. So that's how I determine how many pages, and this is an estimate because you could go over 50,000 words or you can go under. This is just to give you an estimate of about your thickness. And then this kind of gives you a visual of like, okay, well then I'm going to do a 5x8. Or you may say, I want to really like, let's just say you're writing a fantasy novel or you're writing a romantic thriller, and you know that a 200-page book is not going to do it for your character profile, for your customer. So now you need to write a 400-page work. So now you know that 50,000 words is going to give you about 200 pages. So now you know like 100,000 words is going to give you about 400. So right now, the book that I'm working on, which is called Kodiak Rose, it is a little over 80,000 words. So I type in 80,000 divided by 250, and it should be about 320 pages, which I can tell you also, when you put, I already have the book already. I'm already formatting the book and working on it, so I can tell you it's actually a little bit over that. But then you got to count, because you have your table of contents, you have your front matter and your back end matter, so then that adds page counts and stuff like that. So, and then if you're like me where you like to put images, I have a rule for my images, so all that takes up a little space right now, right? So I know that by the time I'm done with that book and getting in the rest of the book into there, it's probably going to be either just under 400 or about 400, which I believe the reader will, in that, for that genre, will be okay with. So I'm trying to make my book so that those readers, that's my boss, right? My boss is the readers. So I want them to be happy with it, right? So that's how I do that. There is also, what else did I want to show you guys with the calculator? So you're doing your page count. Oh, setting your writing goal. So, okay, we're using NaNoWriMo as an example. So we're going to write a 50,000 word book, right? Oh, sorry. So let's just say I'm going to put in 50,000 again. But now I'm going to divide it by, and how long, NaNoWriMo was 30 days, right? So we're going to divide it by 30. So we need to write, we do sig figs, it's going to be 1,667 pages per day to reach that $50,000 goal, $50,000. I'm talking money here. So to reach that goal, you're going to want to write, that's going to be your goal for that day. You're going to have to write 1,667 pages. Sorry, not pages, words. Oh, I'm trying to put it on you guys. You're going to have to write 1,667 words for the day. And if you miss a day, guess what happens? That doubles. Or you can just readjust or whatever. But if you're trying to hit that goal and you're strict about it, and I mean you're writing every day, that means you're writing 7 days a week. But if you're saying like, okay, well, you put in how many days you want to write. So if you want to say I want to write 20 days, you just change it from 30 to 20 and you see what that number is. And that doesn't mean that you're doing 20 straight days. It's just that maybe you're calculating in breaks, okay, which is fine. NaNoWriMo is just, it's like a fun little thing. It's not like, do or die kind of thing. So, but it's just a fun thing. The challenge is to be able to have this book. I do not recommend publishing what you wrote right away. You got to go through put your book through all the different drafts, and we'll get into that. But it's just to get in my opinion, it's to get that first draft out. So for my book, one of the books that I wrote during NaNoWriMo was a book called Nirvatra. It's kind of like a sci-fi fantasy romance. And I wrote that. The first book. It's about 50,000. It's a little over 50,000 words, and I actually wanted to complete the third book in the series. It's supposed to be a trilogy on a NaNoWriMo, but I'll probably not. I'll probably just write it when when my brain will allow me to do so. So yeah. But that book turned out to be a lot of fun. It was something about the pressure of having to get that book out. And I saw this, it had the spark, and I wrote down my spark, my throwing up on paper, and then the book just took off. The story just took off from there. And to this day, it's one of my favorite stories. So that is what we're going to talk about um, for now, to stop there for now. So now we are going to get into our writing sprint, and I am going to show you what that is like. Make sure I didn't miss anything. So you got your, so just to be sure, I was going to do this on a computer, but I decided I'll just use my calculator. And so now you take your goal for your book. So it's like it's a 50,000 money 50,000 word book. You're going to divide that by 250. That tells you the average page count. For setting up your writing goal, like, what should I aim for? You're gonna take 50,000 divided by how many days you want to be working on this book, and then that tells you how much which each writing session, how many words you should be aiming towards, right? The other thing is about chapter size. Chapter sizes vary. Don't get caught up in like, oh, it has to be a certain amount. For aesthetics, if you want, you could try to make them even. So for example, I take a 50,000 word book, and let's just say I want the chapters to be 2,000 words, about 2,000 words. I divide it by 2,000, and that's going to give me 25 chapters, right? That was another way. Sometimes another way to do a writing goal is like, I want to write a chapter a day. So I know that I'll finish this book in 25 days if I follow that by writing 2,000 words a day, like writing one chapter, 2,000 words. The issue with that is sometimes you end up dragging out the story because you're trying to reach a word count, which you don't want to do. Just tell the story. So it's okay if some chapters are 2,000 words and maybe the next chapter is 1,000 words. What you probably want to try to avoid is too drastic. Like chapter 1 is like 10,000 words and chapter 2 is like a page. It's like 250 words. It's kind of weird. It's just kind of weird. You probably should have broken up chapter 1 into a few different chapters. And then you also got to think of just think about your reader. Maybe they're like, okay, just one more chapter and then I'm going to relax. Now there's a thing to that, but just for argument's sake. So you want to let them or have them where they enjoy that chapter, and then they can go about their day, right? Until they come back. Reality is, you don't want them to just close your book. No. No. You want to put a good cliffhanger at the end of that book, so that even if they manage to walk away, close the book because they have to, I don't know, change a baby's diaper, or actually do some work that they're supposed to be doing, or whatever they're supposed to be doing, right? they're going to be thinking about your book and they're going to come back. So you never want it to where they close the book and they never come back. But we'll get into that later about how to start and end your chapters. So now we're going to get into our writing sprint. And I hope you're ready. You can do this by hand in your journal, or you could go on your laptop. I am going to show you, like right now I'm editing one of my books called Kodiak Rose. So instead of me writing, I'm going to be editing while this is going on. And just to give you a taste of what it's like. And we're going to do it for 20 minutes total. But we're going to, just for you to get an example and just to take baby steps, we'll probably do like, I'm thinking if we should do it in 5 or 10 minute increments. Maybe 5 minutes just for starting, just to get you going. But I don't know. See, I write a lot, so 5 minutes is probably not that big of a deal. But I think for now, we're going to do a beginner level. We're going to do 5 minutes. You're going to write for 5 minutes, and then you're going to take like a minute or two break, and then we're going to write for another 5 minutes. I don't know if 5 minutes long enough. I don't know. I'll have to see about that. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. We're gonna figure that out. I'll either do 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but it's just for you to see what it's like. You know what? It's 10 minutes. We're doing 10 minutes, guys. You guys can do this. I believe in you. 10 minutes. You can do this. You can write for 10 minutes. You can block out everything else for 10 minutes and just write. We're gonna write for 10 minutes. Well, I'm gonna be editing, and we're gonna take a break. We're gonna breathe, stretch your legs, and then we're going to do another 10 minutes. And this is going to help to build you up, okay? So this is just training your brain to block out everything else, even if it's just for a moment. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard. For some people it's easier, depending on, what's going on in their life. Some people it's harder, especially when you have kids. So, but this is good training, okay? So let's get into that. Okay, guys, so I decided that watching me edit probably will be distracting, and I don't want you to be distracted, and I want you to get the full sense of what the writing sprint, at least how I'm going to do it. Everybody does their writing sprints differently, but this is how I'm going to do it. So what I did is there's going to be just nice, beautiful scenery and some wordless music. When you hear the music start, you start writing. When the music stops and you hear me come back on again, then, that's when it's time for you to take your break. We're going to do a 5-minute break. So 10 minutes, then a 5-minute break, and then another 10 minutes. And then I'll come back at the end with the conclusion, okay? So that's how we're going to do it. And I'm looking forward to this. For some of you, this is your first time doing this. So I'm looking forward to it. But at least you'll see how I'm going to do it for during the month of November. So let's get started.
A single note hangs in the air, cold and bright like winter's stare. No shadows clean, no dust to mar, just light unbroken, clear and rare. Oh, the pieces fall in line, fragments fuse a fleeting sigh, diamonds drawn on frozen pain, melting soon, but for now they shine. The strings arrive on whispered feet, lift the silence soft and sweet, threads of gold through tangled skein, weave a truth that won't repeat. Time slows down, the world the shape just for a time. Glimmer fades, the mind moves on, leaving only traces gone.
Dust sells slow on the ivory keys. A melody wears like the tide in the breeze. Minutes dissolve where the paper meets light. An unwritten hymn for the closing of night. Shadows go long, but the ink stays wet. A symphony sketched in the lines we forget. Every note fades, but the silence remains. A chorus of ghosts on the afternoon rain. Time slips like water through fingers half dry. The page turns itself where the words never dry. Grain by grain, the daylight erases all the voices we borrowed but left without traces. Hourglass dreams in a slow motion landslide. Nothing is lost except the hours we try. Parchment and rust on the hinges of dawn. A few good forgotten beginnings moves on. The clock hands dissolve into circles half drawn. Starlight rewrites what the daylight didn't.
Okay, guys, so you did it. Your first 10 minutes. How was it? I hope it was good. I hope you got some writing done. Don't be upset if you wrote nothing, or maybe you only got a sentence out, or what you wrote just doesn't even make sense to you. This is just to get it out. It's okay. So I know sometimes when I do writing sprints for myself, there's times when I don't write the whole 10 or 20 minutes. I'm like thinking, because I'm like, what the heck am I going to write? So that happens a lot, but it's not a big deal. And then sometimes what happens is you can't stop writing. You know, the time is up and you just keep going. And it is okay if you want to keep typing and keep running through. That's good. You're on a flow. So I don't want to disturb that. It's good to take a break when you get whatever it is out that you're trying to say or express in your writing. Take a break. Take a break, take a deep breath, walk around a little bit, stretch your legs, get you something to drink. If you find that you can't write anything, like it's a block, or you've gotten the dreaded writer's block, I have some ways for you to cure yourself of writer's block. It's really not that hard. So you have to understand that writer's block is just stress. That's it. It's just stress and anxiety. So there are some herbal teas that you can drink that will help help you to relax so that you can think, right? So a great tea that I have a couple here listed, and one of them is ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba is really good for your brain. It's so if you're studying, if you're trying to focus at work instead of having coffee, it's better to have like ginkgo biloba. If you're dealing with just anything where you gotta like really focus a lot, it helps with all of that focus, attention. It really feeds your brain. So ginkgo biloba, and there's a lot of other herbal teas that you can drink that are great for the brain. If you want to know more about that, just let me know and I will tell you. Um, the other tea, if you are stressed out, if you're stressing and nothing's coming to you, you feel like your creativity is stuck, or you're telling yourself, I don't have creativity. First, you got to stop telling yourself that you're not creative, because you are. Everybody's creative. You just haven't found your medium or your way of expressing yourself, or the stress of forcing that out is causing you to have writer's block. So, a tea that I recommend for that is called Kava Kava. It's Kava. Kava Kava. And it's great for stress and anxiety. It will kind of relax you. It will relax you. It might relax you to where you're like, okay, I'm ready for a nap now, or I'm ready to go to bed. That's perfectly fine, because it's probably what your body needs. You need to relax. You need to de-stress. It could be other things that are stressing you out in life, right? Another tea that I recommend, and this is just for anybody, is green tea. Green tea is a great tea. It's full of antioxidants, and how I've always been taught antioxidants are is another word is anti-agers. So that's how I always looked at antioxidants, right? So green tea, you could drink black tea, um, any kind of tea that's really. Another thing is like the chais. Chais are good. The last tea that I recommend is good, especially if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure, which is due to stress, is moringa. Moringa also gives you energy. So it's a great tea to drink in the morning, but it's a great tea to drink just overall for your health, for everything. So that's, those tea. The teas that you want to avoid are going to be like chamomile, because it's gonna more kind of relax you a little too much to when you want to go to sleep. And like sleepy time tea. I love sleepy time tea, but you don't want to drink that when you're when you're writing. You also don't want to drink alcohol. That's my recommendation, because I feel it's just gonna put you in an alter. I don't know. It depends on what you're writing, but some people love it. I don't agree. I think for me, I'm going to relax. Okay, so now we're gonna start our next 10 minutes. So let's get good. Let's get into it.
Soft as a touch of morning dew, ideas bloom in shades of blue. Piano keys like raindrops fall, a quiet storm behind the wall. Fingers trace the hollow air, lines unspoken, light as prayer. Every note a fading thread, tangled dreams inside my head. Oh, the whispers of unwritten, dancing where the sky's forgiven. Pages turn without a sound, lost but never to be found. Oh, the whispers of unwritten, floating where the words are hidden. Inkwell dries but never fades, silent storms in empty glades. Shadows stretch across the floor, time dissolves behind the door. Strings pull light through open seams, catching fragments of my dreams. Footsteps echo soft and low, melodies I used to know, falling through the cracks of day.
drifting further far away. Oh, the whispers of unwritten dancing where the sky's forgiven. Pages turn without a sound, lost but never to be found. Oh, the whispers of unwritten, floating where the words are hidden. Ink well dries but never fades. Silence stands in empty glaze. Sunlight paints the room in threads of gold. A quiet dance of dust and dreams unfold. Piano keys like branches sway, catching whispers time forgot to say. Cello hums beneath the fading light, a melody of shadows taking flight. Half-formed thoughts on pages turn, burning bright but too fragile to burn. Fleeting gold, you slept like sand, gilded traces on my hand. Every glimmer fades too soon, just a ghost of the afternoon. Fleeting gold, you twist and lies, dissolving into evening skies. All the brilliance you withhold turns to embers, turns to cold. Morning comes to chase your name, but you're the ash, the spark, the frame. Woven light on wooden floors, a fleeting shine behind closed doors. Ideas flicker soft and low, like lanterns sway.
Yay! Congratulations, you did it. You did it. You did it. You did it. So now what I recommend for you to do is you can continue writing if you'd like. If there is something that you're working on and it's fresh on your mind and you are motivated, don't kill it because time is stopped. Keep going. When you're done, I recommend relaxing. So watch your favorite movie. Some people when they write, they don't like to watch any movies or TV shows. And for a long time, I was one of them. I won't read a book. I won't, if I'm writing fiction, of course, I'm not going to read any fiction books while I'm writing. And I still kind of hold on to that only because I don't want to pull anything from another author, right? I don't want to like, okay, I'm writing a romance and then I start reading someone else's romance and then, oh, I really like what, it's like, you don't even want to do that subconsciously, I should say like that. You're trying to make your story as original as it is, but and I know it kind of goes against my whole Cinderella theory, but I just feel like as an author reading another author's book, well, I don't want to be influenced by their writing, their style. I'm establishing my own style, my own writing. So for that reason, I don't want to read their book right now. When I'm in between writing, I don't mind reading that book. When I have I don't know when the in between time is for me because it's really hard. But I have read other authors' books that I love and enjoyed. There's one author, C.Y. Marshall, and she wrote a a vampire romance. Now I don't like vampire stories. I'm so tired of vampire stories. But that's just me. There's people who still love vampire stories. But I tell you what, her book was so good. I always talk about her book. I always talk big about her book because I enjoyed it. I read front to back. Well, I have the book and then I have the audio, so I enjoyed it. I sucked that thing up in a day. It was so good. It like she's great at writing, and it was kind of similar to like it was kind of similar, not similar. It was kind of like today. The only thing I could completely compare it to today is Sinners, but the context is very different, than Sinners. So, but it was a good book. So I read that in between writing my other books, and what I enjoyed about that's not something I'd ever really write about. The creature I'm writing about is called the lightning bird. So yeah, it's a vampiric bird, but yeah. So anyway, when most writers, when they start writing, they don't like to read other books in their genre, or just even fiction books, period. They don't like to read any, they don't want that influence, which I completely understand, and I do that too. But I don't mind watching movies. As a film student, I kind of have to watch movies to analyze them, so you probably don't want to watch a movie with me. I'm starting to learn that now because I will look at things differently now. Seeing things differently, my eyes are opening now. So I watch movies, or I watch a TV show, or another thing like I love to do after I've been writing is to take a nice, soothing hot shower. I don't know, it's a water thing for me, and it just completely relaxes me, and it prepares me. Like it just finishes off my day, and then I just go to sleep, and I'm still thinking the whole time I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about my book, and when I get out of the shower, I'm thinking about my book, and when I'm laying down going to bed, I'm thinking about the scenes in my book, like the characters and how they're interacting and everything. And I'm just allowing it to play in. I'm just allowing the creativity to flow. So the whole goal of relaxing after you write is to keep that writer's block at bay and continue to allow the creative juices flowing. So that's the whole goal. So whatever it could be, I make jewelry. I like to make crafts. I like to make herbal supplements. It doesn't sound relaxing, but I make herbal supplements. I study and research different herbs and the chemical makeup of them. Yeah, that's me trying to have fun. But if it relaxes you, then do it. Okay? And that's the whole point. And it's just to keep those juices flowing, just to keep that doorway to creativity open. So, you write, you focused on that, now just relax. Give your brain something else to kind of relax on and keep stress at bay. You could even do this if you're stressed out in the day. Just drinking these teas will help. And just always, you gotta learn how to think positive but be realistic. Okay, there's a happy balance to it. So you can be positive but be realistic also. So I hope that this session was good for you. I look forward to our next week's class, and I look forward to, if you have any questions, you can place them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I will look it up. Okay. And I hope that everyone had fun today. I hope you enjoyed this writing sprint. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. I had fun spending this time with you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.